Hello, welcome back to Flannel's Briar. I'm Gareth. Sitting in the same old spot as my codger camp. Same old codger camp. Wanted to do another, kind of normal camp video. Yeah, it's middle of January. Out in the Flint Hills of Kansas. Some pretty wintry weather overall, despite the fact that this winter has not been the most winter-like so far. Smoking some Amphora Original in my little Briarworks little bulldog, as I call it. Bought this a few years back as I was on my way to the Elk River Trail. I like this little pipe quite a bit. But this is just kind of the weekend that was gonna, it's Martin Luther King holiday weekend. Not that that has anything to do with me coming camping, but this is just kind of work-wise and other stuff-wise. This was the overall best weekend to shoot for. And sure enough, we got a cold snap that turned things really cold here this Saturday. Blew in last night or so, and tomorrow it's going to warm up more than today. It's been quite windy, like 20-mile-per-hour winds, more than 20 or higher than 20-mile-per-hour winds at times. Out of the northwest, today the high was only about 20, somewhere around there. Maybe it got up to like 23 or something. I can't remember what my thermometer said. Right now it's probably 18, maybe 17 degrees Fahrenheit. This campsite it has some decent wind protection. There's a good stretch of course, leafless trees to the northwest of me here. Tonight the wind's going to shift around from the southwest, and I'll still have some protection here. So overall, pretty decent spot. I was going to record this video down in front of, as I mentioned before, that codger one, the ruins of the old caretaker's house, the limestone house. Problem is, when I pull my tripod out, I noticed that the little plate thing that pops out that has the screw on it that attaches to whatever you're mounting. Yeah, it's at home somewhere. Probably attached to the bottom of my spotting scope, I bet. Spotting scope my wife gave me for Christmas, that I was playing around with last time I was out here. So I just had to take the little phone mounting bracket and prop it up on the table. I tied it to some, I have this little thing. It's propped up on a leather mitten over here. It's kind of held from falling over on the back with some cordage. It works. But yeah, earlier this morning or so, wind chill values were down to about 0 Fahrenheit. And yeah, I've had the area out here to myself. I have seen absolutely nobody drive back up in here, let alone do anything else all day or all last night. Usually a few people will come, like at least come drive in, do whatever. Not sure I always want to know, and leave. Like people that come back at night, and they're back wherever for a while, then they leave, and they're not camping, they're not having a fire or something. I mean, I don't know. Kind of makes me wonder if they're lighting up something else in the car that's not tobacco, but whatever. They don't bother me. Didn't really surprise me. It's as cold and windy as it is, but it's been fairly sunny today, which would kind of fool you into thinking it's actually not that cold, but it's pretty cold and it has been pretty windy most of the day. But this morning in the afternoon, I listened to the audiobook of Julie of the Wolves, which is it's like a kid's book essentially, but I never read it as a kid, and yeah, I'm in my mid to late 40s now, and I decided that might be a good thing to listen to while I was out here on a winter camp out, and I was glad I did. I have to say that story is overall pretty darn sad. If you've ever read it, if not, I recommend reading it, listening to it, whatever. When I was like in 4th grade, I think some kids in my class read it. It's one of those things where some kids in the class read certain books and I read something else. But always kind of intrigued me. But yeah, overall, rather sad story. Right before I started recording, I was listening to Jack London's To Build a Fire. A short story I've read more than once and listened to and watched. There's some like video version of it on YouTube, which I watched a few years back. Good story that highlights the fact, the necessity to not come out in the winter and be a fool. And of course, the guy in the story is a fool, and he pays the price for it. That's kind of why I like camping. I mean, I wouldn't want to exclusively go camping when it's really cold, but it's just different. I mean, it's not quite to that level. I'm talking, when it's like 0 degrees, that sort of thing, it kind of shifts things to a little bit different level, obviously, but it's not quite there. But, you still have to, even when it's a little bit warmer, you have to do things in a more methodical manner. You have to, deal with your water, because your water is going to freeze. How are you going to deal with that? When you cook food, it's going to get cold. If it's cold enough, you cook your food, you have to eat it pretty fast because it's going to freeze solid on you before you can get in your mouth. That sort of thing. Or start freezing to the side of your pot or bowl or whatever you're eating out of. So winter camping can be a challenge, but I think it's a fun and interesting one. But this camp out, I usually come out and bring like a Coleman lantern. I've had white gas Coleman lanterns for many years, and a few years back I finally got a Coleman propane lantern. I like the way the white gas ones smell, but I have to say the propane ones are great from a convenience standpoint. I brought that one with me, although I haven't used it this camp out. Because it was recently my wife and I's wedding anniversary, and 11th wedding anniversary, and the gift thing is steel. And Mrs. Flint Hills Briar. Flint Hill Briar? I don't even know what I call my channel. Flint Hills or Flint Hill? I think it's Flint Hill. Anyway, she's great. She comes up with great gift ideas. She's a lot more creative about it than I am. For the 11th wedding anniversary, the traditional thing is steel, and for a steel gift, she got me something that I'd had on my Amazon wish list for a good while, but it's a Dietz Air Pilot kerosene lantern. So I brought it with me. For years now, I've had a Dietz Junior. I think it's just the model's just a Junior kerosene lantern. But I brought those and I lit those up last night for some light. They did great in the wind. It was quite windy last night. I mean, it was windy enough. It was howling in the trees, sort of windy. Had to try to keep the flames turned a little bit lower to prevent them from sooting up, blowing around in the wind and sooting up the globes a little bit too much. This one got a little bit sooted. The other one, not really at all. But it's kind of a fun little change of pace. I love, old lanterns. Well, neither of them are old really. This one's brand new, but older technology. Even though these cold blast lanterns are newer technology than the hot blast lanterns, which, just look it up. They look different. These ones actually burn brighter. I believe because they have there's more oxygen that's supplied to the flame, whereas the hot blast ones, it's more exhaust that's kind of piped back through there. But yeah, the way the winter was going, I wasn't sure if I was going to get a camp out where it was going to be very wintry, because back in December it was decently warm. But yeah, the way the chances worked out, it actually got pretty winter like this weekend, and I'll probably go camping next month in February sometime, but who knows. Could be as cold as this, maybe, and in all likelihood it'll probably be warmer. But anyway, yeah, just chugging along in life. Going to work, having weekend campouts every month or so, and I guess I really can't complain. I've been not really like when it comes to like bike races and stuff. They're races, although I'm not a racer, but yeah, that the big one, the 200-mile Unbound one, I didn't get picked to the lottery for that one, but there's a race in April called the Flint Hills Gravel Ride, which is, they have like an 85-mile one, and I think there's like a 120 one. I'm going to sign up for the 85 one. I did it last year, and I had a lot of fun, even though it was quite windy. But I got a Zwift bike. It's kind of like, essentially it's a game, kind of where you actually ride a bike. And on it, you power, a little bike rider on the game sort of thing. So if you get like the right equipment to do this, it's like you're outdoors riding, going uphill stuff, up hills, mountains, going downhill, riding with other people, all this kind of stuff. And it makes riding indoors a lot more mentally engaging. For about 10 years ago, I had what you kind of call a dumb trainer. It's something you can like mount your bike in, and it has a resistance thing on the back wheel. And you can ride indoors with that, although I found that a great challenge to do all that much, because it's just mind-numbingly boring, and it's not like riding a real bike outdoors. Like, you stop pedaling, your wheel stops spinning like very quickly. Having the smart trainer, I got the whole Zwift bike thing with the smart trainer. If you know what that is, or look it up, or nobody's going to care anyway. But so I have this indoor bike thing, and I've been enjoying riding that quite a bit. So for the first time in years, I'm actually getting some bike riding training done in early January when it's cold outside, because I haven't ridden outdoors since, well, like right after Thanksgiving. Or was it right before Thanksgiving? Yeah, it was like right after Thanksgiving. But anyway, enough of the bike stuff. Sun is going down over the hill ridge to my west here, and suppose I've rambled on long enough now. That's about 15 minutes in this video, so I'm going to sign out and drink some hot tang and maybe make some more coffee and eventually light up the fire. I have it all laid out, the fire lay ready to light up and settle in for the evening. But thanks for joining me. I'm Gareth with Flint Hills Briar. I'll see you next time.